Greetings and salutations. We're doing it live here at Duford Insurance Group. It's yours truly, Dave Duford, El Jefe, as they call me, the progenitor of no BS insurance sales training. Thank you for joining yet again on another one of my monthly live Q&A sessions where you get to ask me anything to help you become better, the best you can be, at selling insurance. So if you've never been to one of these live streams, let me tell you what to expect. I'm going to be here for at least an hour answering all of your questions as it relates to anything related to selling insurance. I don't care if you work with me or work for somebody else. If you've got questions about leads, supports, questions, possible agencies that you're thinking about joining and wondering if they are high on the Kool-Aid, I'll tell you the truth about anything and everything to help you hopefully have a good career in selling insurance. So before we get started, a couple of things. First of all, I kind of tweaked my video settings. So if you guys notice anything weird, you know, like the video going out or anything, just kind of say something in the chat. Keep me informed. And second of all, if you got questions, man, just line up the chat with your questions. I go down the list and answer everybody's question. Usually get to everybody's, if it's a halfway decent question at least. And of course, if you haven't already, I would please love it if you were to like this video. This helps me get my message, my content out there to the masses, which are not informed and don't know about the Duford Insurance Group, and much less the training that I provide to help people, no matter if they're in my agency or not. So please hit the subscribe button if you haven't, of course, but more importantly, the like button. I'd really appreciate that. So I have good news. I like to start off when I can with these live streams with comments from the haters. And this month I was blessed with 2 comments that were posted to my website that I am looking very much forward to sharing with you to kick off the spirit of this training in the right way. So let me pull up the first one. So I've got a lot of stuff going on around the internet, and I've got several websites. I generate web leads organically off of a couple of them. And I've got these posts out there that talk about these potential senior scams, I guess. But it's amazing the lack of brain power and IQ that some of our website visitors have. And many times I'm accused of the one being the perpetrator of the scam, when in the article of the website itself, it actually says that I'm not, and it's this other thing. But people, you know, expecting them to read about the problem or to do something, not the case. So I got this funny comment. Here's what it said. And this is about a letter that goes out in the mail. And she said, "All this is your little backward scam of luring seniors to Google. That fraudulent records division, thanks for frightening my 90-year-old mother, Classy. And voila, there you are rescuing us from the scammers. But you just happen to be hawking life insurance." And yes, I do try to convert them into life insurance leads. But at least I tell them what the postcards they're getting in the mail really are about. "I shall proceed to tell everyone I know over 60 to never patronize your business because of the duplicitous methods you employ. Do not ever mail me anything to this address. Have you no shame?" People. So that was the warm-up. Let me share with you the actual one that actually is funny. Here's the one. This is from, and I'm going to have to, if you've got children around, you may want to hold their ears or turn the mute down. Don't say I didn't warn you. I'm going to tell you exactly what came to me from, I don't know if it's Mr. or Mrs. Ho Chi Minh from notprovided@yahoo.com, the email. The message body reads, "I read a little of your bullshit promoting Medicare Advantage. Seems like a lot of bottom feeders are getting into that business, but then again, you must feel right at home scamming people. As an added tidbit, you write like a 5th grader with a grammar problem. It's Duford, right? Seems like it should be dumb fuck." I think the same commenter said something like, what did he say? He said something like, "You're a loser, you must," I was making a comment on one of the MLMs that I've reviewed, and I said something like, he said something like, "You look like a person that's not been successful in life." And, well, if they actually knew how far I've come, sticking to the program, preaching the truth, and trying to help people, it does actually pay off to give first before you receive. Let that be maybe a lesson for today, is never forget the principle or the law of reciprocity. Try to help people first. And it may take a long time, but the good stuff tends to come back. And you should help people anyway because it's a good thing, not because you're expecting anything in return. The true way that reciprocity works is you help people without any expectation. And I am a shining example. I don't talk about my income or what I've been able to achieve financially, but if I peeled back the curtains and showed you, you would definitely agree that the principle of reciprocity absolutely works. And I would beg all of you, if you want any kind of success in life, that you should try to duplicate that in your everyday life, in your business, with the people that you're with. Be a service to people. And I don't just mean it to make a sale, but to actually do the thing. Be of service. It works. And it works for more than just the money. It works for, I think, something inside of us, the soul. So there's my little motivational rant. Okay, so let's get back into comments. That's why you're here after all, not to listen to me jabber on. So we're going to start by going right from the top of the Q&A, the question list, right to the bottom. Again, I solicit you for your help. Please hit the like button if you haven't yet to spread the word of the training that I'm providing for free to help those many agents out there who are in need and may not even know it. So thank you in advance for doing that. So let's get going. Hey, Tanya, Edward, how y'all doing? We start right now, Steven. How you doing? Hey, Bob, what's going on? Might as well listen in. Sure. Hey, CVW, my question is, if we join Duford Insurance Group, can we operate as a DBA within our own website? Absolutely, yeah. In fact, one of the principles that I teach my agents is that I don't like agents branding Duford Insurance Group. Now, you might find that weird because every other agency pushes their brand as a part of their recruiting efforts or even their sales efforts. And when we look at least at the selling of insurance, I can tell you this, not a single one of your clients cares that you're with Duford Insurance Group. The fact that you're an agent with Duford Insurance Group makes no bearing or difference at all if they're going to buy from you or not. Do you know what does make a difference? The brand of you, how you position yourself, how you connect to the client, how you help the client with their needs. That brand that you create in the sales presentation is what really drives the sale. Don't ever get confused or convinced that some company name or an agency name makes any difference at all with your clients. What ultimately matters is how you connect with the prospect. Never, ever forget that. And when it comes to building an agency, or I should say selling insurance with your clients, you need to build your brand around you. I usually have a business card handy. I don't right now, but I show it on the screen and it's just my professional mugshot, my phone number, and like your insurance agent and an email. That's it. I don't have any other kind of carrier information or my fancy logo or whatever, because our clients don't care about that. They care about us. So that's never failed for me. Would recommend you to do the same. And the other thing, too, with agency building, I always like to mention this for those who are interested in who are building an agency or wanting to build an agency. A lot of the approach nowadays is, hey, big name MLM, we're going to self-brand or co-brand with you and create your agency in the name of the agency. That's all fine and dandy until the relationship with the agency changes and you've built not your brand, but their brand. And there are consequences to you leaving and taking the business that you've built with you to another direction. There is an agency right now going through this. If you pay attention to the gossip of Facebook, you'll know who I'm talking about. They're losing lots and lots of agents. And, part of the problem is that when you do that, there's consequences in pulling out hundreds, if not thousands of agents from an existing agency. And, how it affects your brand as the person who will be bringing them. So one thing I like to teach my guys that are building agencies is the self-brand. Ultimately, your brand is an autonomous thing that you own. And unless you're getting paid a lot of money to build somebody else's brand, my recommendation would be don't brand in their name, because maybe they'll start to claim that you or they had an equal amount of interest and success and influence on building your agency, and that little asset that grow big that you thought you owned 100%, they may claim otherwise. Hey, 1234. So yeah, hopefully that's my long drawn out answer. If you've not gotten to know me yet, brevity is something I'm working on. I try to give detailed answers and be as helpful as I can, so it may take me a while to answer some of these simple yet profound questions. Hey, Garage, the Disney capital of the world, Central Florida. All right, let's get to some of these questions. Moro, hey, Moro, what's going on, man? Nice to see you. Can someone who has taken AHIP 2022 describe it? You got to practice the test. You got to take the practice exams. You got to study, and you have to pass with the 90% in order to get your AHIP credential for the remaining 2022 calendar year, at least for offering the plans that are available then. It is harder, I believe, than the health insurance exam. You should take your time to study it and prepare for it sincerely. And you got like 3 chances to take it before you kind of run out of chances. I think you can still take it after that. But word on the street is print screen the questions on the exam and practice those, or the print screen the practice exam questions and have those handy to practice before you take the actual exam. Hey, what's going on, Beeman? Hey, Steve. The course is separate from the ARP CRM itself, right? You're talking about this Facebook course I'm promoting. Yeah, it's actually bundled into the purchase of it, where our pitch as selling it is we want to provide you an avenue to be able to create your own leads through the Agent on a Pilot Facebook course. Get used to the CRM, and then hopefully by you using it, you'll continue to do business with us through the CRM. And this is related to a marketing campaign I'm doing in my internal list. If you don't know what I'm talking about, no worries. But yes, if you don't want the CRM, you can just cancel it at any time. It's completely fine. There you go, Garage. Thank you. How do I join your agency, Juan? davidduford.com/FAQ. Read that page, and anybody who's interested, that's a great place to start to learn if my agency is a good fit for you. Read it from top to bottom. See if what I require from you is a good fit. If kind of your, personality is a good fit for how we do things. It may be, it may not be. And then if you like what you see, I do group Q&As Mondays and Wednesdays, and you can ask me more questions then. So I would start there. What's your opinion of Family First Life? One of the fastest growing and pretty much does a good job, I would say, as far as building interest and people getting recruited into the agency. This is what I'm about to recommend is just general advice to anybody that's joining the industry. It's not specific to FFL or any agency. It's just good advice. First of all, always vet the person that's bringing you in. Do they actually know how to sell? And equally important, to know how to support agents and train them on how to sell. Again, a big problem in this business, industry-wide, without naming any names, is that there's a big push to recruit, but the actual substance of training isn't there. And so what ends up happening is that people get into this business, don't have a foundation of learning how to do this business, and they leave the business as fast as they got into it and are convinced it's a racket. It's not a racket if you find the right organization. So vet the person recruiting you. I care less about the corporate entity. I care more about the person bringing you on and what the value system of that upline is and what they bring to the table. In other words, Duford Insurance Group's great, but it's what's your relationship with David Duford if you're going to work with me, and what can I provide you? The second thing is make sure you check commissions against other options, just because part of the decision-making process certainly is training, the affinity towards joining the agency, and then what you actually get paid and what it takes to advance higher. I think that ultimately, if you find 2 organizations that do similar as far as what they provide, the next question should be, well, if they're both the same and I have an equal affinity, well, who's going to pay you more? Because at the end of the day, if they provide, in your perspective, something similar, you should be worried as an independent agent running your own business where the most lucrative amount of money is going to be for you on the upside. Okay, let's keep going. Do I need a website? Nah, you don't need a website. At least selling final expense like what we do. We just buy leads, run appointments. or if we sell Medicare, like what we do and what we teach agents to do as well, you just buy leads and run appointments. You don't need any sort of website to, well, I don't know, give you kind of an edge. If anything, it's actually an obstacle with how we do business, because if you tell people you got a website and they can invite them to check you out, maybe they'll take you up on it and say they'll get back to you. So instead of having to even deal with that, build a relationship with them. Let them feel or get the sense that they can trust you, because a lot of these other things are just obstacles. I'm not saying that websites are bad, it's just the use of it and the way we're describing doesn't make much sense. All right, let's see here. All right, lots of questions. Good. Are you just life? So, Tanya, we do mostly senior life insurance products, typically final expense at Duford Insurance Group. One thing that makes us different is we're very adamant about helping agents get into Medicare on an intermediate to long-term basis. We think that Medicare is a big opportunity over the next 20 years, and it's a great way to diversify your income and specifically build a passive stream of income where you can get paid on business that you did many, many years ago, which you can't really get with just final expense. Reason we don't push that as a primary product for most people is because it takes a level of cash flow, or the cash flow is lower when you account for costs of doing business like your leads. So it's harder for agents to survive just strictly selling Medicare. But in the long run, if you sell a lot of policies, you can make a lot of money. 123, hey David, could you briefly go more into depth about your best Facebook lead generation program that you are either affiliated with or highly recommend? I think either Bobby V's program, if you go into YouTube and then put in like $2.50 Duford, you'll see it. How I figured that out, don't ask, but it works. So watch that video. That's a very good program. And then I like Josh's program, the Agent Autopilot Facebook program, because he takes a lot of information from these other vendors that offer Facebook programs at extraordinarily high prices. I've seen them as high as $3,000, $6,000, and he puts it all together in a course that's easily digestible for a fraction of the cost. So one of those two are kind of where my biases are. I'm not big on spending a lot of money on a course that you can get something very comparable for much less. So it would be one of those two. Hello, hey Amy, when it comes to final expense, have you experienced significant changes with the companies you work with when it comes to providing coverage because of COVID? Zero, none whatsoever. Now we had some companies tighten up, like Rural Neighbors tightened up on ages of issue age and then the amount of coverage, but the vast majority of carriers simply don't care. You got to remember with final expenses, they factor in bad health anyway to begin with. So, and you would think with our group of people, mostly clients 60 and older, that there would be higher concern because COVID affects them more than a younger crowd. The mortality rate's higher, but it's not been the case. If anything, the business has gotten better with COVID because people are concerned about dying. And when you're concerned about dying, you think about life insurance, at least some people do. So really none whatsoever. And I'm kind of surprised by that. I figured there'd be a little bit tightening up, but not now, not at all. 123, what's your best way to rebuttal objections when you're against someone looking for pre-need options? Okay, great question. So first of all, let's define what pre-need is. If you're new to final expense, pre-need is what life insurance product is sold at a funeral home. And it's basically a one-time payment or multi-year payment product to where you pay off the funeral through a life insurance product, a paid-up plan. And then it's housed at the funeral home. Everything's planned in advance, and bada bing, bada boom. What the real rebuttal against that is it comes down to socioeconomic differences with our clients. For example, long story short, a person who gets burial insurance can't afford a pre-need plan because pre-need typically, if on at least on a monthly basis, a 7 or 10 pay plan is usually 2 to 3 times as much money. And so what happens is for the equivalent face amount you could get, let's say it's $50 a month, it's going to be more like on a final expense plan. Pre-need is going to be like $100 to $150. Again, it varies, of course. The other thing too that I like to so the number one rebuttal is, do you want to pay $150 a month potentially for the same thing I can get you for $50? That typically knocks out 8 out of 10 of the objections that you come across. Other than that, some people just don't trust a funeral home, or they don't understand the prices, Or when you look at the amount of premiums that will be paid in over the course of 7 or 10 years, and you compare that to the actual price for the funeral, it typically is sometimes double the amount that the value of the plan is half of the premium they put in. So it's like getting a $10,000 car on credit and the total payments over 10 years are $20 or something, or $20,000. It's not economically smart, in other words. So, but truly, most of the time, the way you rebuttal it is, can you afford whatever premium they say they're comfortable with 3 times that much? And they're like, oh, no, not really. And then you say, well, that's why I'm here. You can still pre-plan at the funeral home. You don't have to buy a policy from them. And we can get you a plan here that's a lot less expensive that will still do the same job, and the policy will pay the funeral home all the same. So that's how you really handle it. Also, what is the best way to rebuttal objections when you are against someone also looking at pre-need options? I think I just answered that. With AEP coming up, who's the best to use for mail order piece per piece face-to-face? We are. I mean, I don't really know, truthfully, except that with my Medicare people, we do it all internally. We have a fixed price lead of $25 a lead. Direct mail, fresh and exclusive. Facebook leads, I think, are $14 or $15 fresh and exclusive. We really like them. But truthfully, I think mailing or marketing anything with anybody right now, you're going to get a heightened response rate because everybody pretty much knows it's the season to switch or consider switching Medicare. So there's not much wrong you can do, I think, at least during AEP. When did you sour, or why did you sour on dad a lot? I mean, they're just not really sending us the final expense prospects we need. We're seeing more people in their 50s or 60s looking for term. And for us, we don't do a lot of term. We can do it, but it's a lot more moving parts. It doesn't get issued as applied for as often, and it's just kind of not what our main goal is. So that's the primary reason. Final expense carriers that take those who have blood thinners. Let's go through a quick list here. Rural Neighbors Level will take, and when you say blood thinners, I'm going to assume you mean warfarin or Coumadin. There's other blood thinners like Plavix, but that's usually readily acceptable. Rural Neighbors Level, warfarin, Coumadin is not even on the prescription guide. Trinity Family Benefit, as long as the health history event that caused the warfarin, Coumadin is 2+ years in the past, and all the other questions are answered no, you can get level coverage there. If you write Prosperity and the client's been on warfarin, Coumadin continually at the same dosage for longer than 2 years, then you can write that level. Probably American Amicable under the same auspices as Prosperity with that kind of level for 2 years plus. Probably Transamerica. We don't really write them much anymore. Probably a few others I'm missing here, but those are the ones definitely that I would be kind of grabbing for to begin with. Hey Ace, I know I need to buy leads to work with you. I understand the reason, but if I can generate my own leads, can I show proof of the expense and not buy the leads? Shoot me an email. Tell me how you're describe to me in the email. I'd say do it now, but just with all the questions. Describe to me what you're doing for leads, and I'll give you an honest answer, and I'll explain to you why if I don't like it. One of the reasons I don't make money off of leads. It's not a stream of income for me. I don't make any money off of any of the recommendations for leads that I do. But the thing is we've vetted the market. We know what leads are good and bad and ugly. And most agents don't need to come in and think that they know better. No offense or anything, but we know what works, and we want you to work and have success because I don't get paid till you get paid, right? So I have a vested interest to make sure you're working good leads. But if you're in a different situation or if you got something else you want to show me, great. I'll tell you honestly what I think and give you a reason either way, why I think that way. Must be a lib. And work with you? Yeah, sure. Do you drug test that Jason final expense guy? He's the real deal, man. He has written 350 plus policies over the phone. He's very good at what he does. He's a very good speaker. He's a very good trainer. He's absolutely legit. Was with another, I won't share it for just reasons why. With another agency we all have heard of and was constantly a top producer with him, not just with final expense, but with other product lines too. He's probably got 17 plus years in experience, and he's an energetic guy for sure, but he's definitely legit. Gary, is there a list of IMOs? Sure. Let me actually see if I can pull it up here, and I'll throw it in a chat. Well, what is it? Email me, I'll send it to you. And they're at least the list of IMOs I've reviewed, okay? So you'll get my reviews. Now, you might be thinking, oh, they're all biased. Dave wrote about them. He's probably going to say how crappy they are. No, they're pretty fair. I try to be as unbiased as I can and cite what good, if any, there is. And then certainly talk about the things agents should be concerned with. So you can go there and check it out. And I think there's like 14 or 15 different reviews. And if anybody's interested in that, just go to my website, email me, or go to davidduford.com/contact and say, hey, send me that free resource guide with the IMO descriptions, and happy to send it to you. Hey, Lawan, currently in the IT field, and I'm heavily considering a career shift in the insurance industry, more specific to final expense. Any suggestions? Yeah, same thing. Start doing your due diligence. I hate the shameless plug here. Buy the what is my book called? Hold on. The Official Guide to Selling Insurance for New Agents. It's like $5 on Amazon in ebook format. No, on paperback, or ebook. I don't know, whatever. It's cheap, but it's a good starting point to talk about how the business really is, because what you're about to dip into is a world of multi-level marketing Kool-Aid drinking. And you need to be aware that a lot of agencies operate on the mass recruiting principle without very little substantive work to help you become a better agent. So you just need to be careful that whoever you're going to go work with is actually going to train you, support you, mentor you, and dial you into an actual proven sales and marketing system. So that's a good book to kind of just pull back the layers of the onions. And then the second thing is just you can go to my website and start looking around. There's the free resource guide. If you're interested in that, I can send it to you. That's pretty helpful too. Investigate the different niches in the business. Investigate final expense. Are you going to do telesales? You can do over the phone, face-to-face. Kind of figure out where your strategy is, and then it becomes easier to then pick the best organization for you once you kind of laid the groundwork, the fundamentals. Hey, Bianca. Is OmniBay an MLM? I was recruited by a big YouTube mogul. OmniBay. I don't know who OmniBay is. That's a first. Is that like an insurance recruiting agency? I'd never heard of it before. Somebody throw a link in the chat. I'll check them out. I was talking about your haters. Yeah, I know, Bob. I haven't been selling for a while, and I want to get back, but I'm having, and this is Andrew. Hey, Andrew, what's going on? Having a hard time not listening to that little voice inside of my head. It is a vice, though. How do I push past it? You just have to shut up the thing in your head and do it anyway. I mean, it's. I think at the end of the day, we're all an evolved mammal that's spent most of our time on the savannah, surviving peril after peril after peril, and we all have this resistance or fear of, what if it goes wrong? What if I make the wrong decision? It's a survival instinct. And we now live in a time of society where we're not running from lions, right? And trying to survive, and we don't know all the things that are happening to us. It's all inexplicable. It's all just a, shock. And so, but we're still left with these, urges, these gut instincts that we can't describe. And I would say what you're feeling is something along those lines, this primordial effort to preserve yourself and to eliminate risk. The problem, of course, is we're talking about modern society, and all we're talking about is just doing a job. It's just helping people, right? It doesn't actually compute. It's stressor to prevent us from death or destruction, but we're just talking about work here, in the 21st century. So you just have to learn how to listen, not listen to it. What do you got to lose? Time, sure. Money, maybe. But not a lot. I believe if you do it the right way and get set up and get going and give it all you can, you should know in a week or two if this is right for you. And it's better to just know if it is or isn't than it is to always wonder, could I have done it? There's nothing worse, I think, than missing up on an opportunity, fast forwarding the dials 5 years and seeing people that got into it exceed very well and you haven't gotten ahead. We all have different motivators, right? But, what we're talking about here is just modern society. We're not running from, forces we have no understanding of that will kill us if we don't. And I think looking at your reaction to that is helpful. So just kind of ignore it and do it anyway. And it's just like, exercise in a sense. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Whatever the fear is, you'll numb the fear by exposure. Most people have fear when they start this thing. You're not unique in this. It's just that they don't pay attention to it better. So there's my advice. Hey, what's up, Healthy? Latera. Hey, my peoples here in Tampa Bay. Hey, what's going on? Thank you. What's the process for changing agencies? So if you're going to change to me and you have some carriers you want to port over, the process of doing that is you have to get a release from those carriers you have with your existing agency and then have them ship them over to yours truly. That process may or may not be okay with your agency. Sometimes they will sign the release, that's what it's called. And if it's not, then you just got to get different carriers instead and start fresh with other companies. So you don't have to no company can restrict you from doing business with another company, at least with new carriers. So you do have an exit strategy. So get with me more on it if you're looking to join my agency. I can tell you some steps to take, but generally what I've described is the norm. Yeah, for sure. Carrier certifications are harder, really, Emil. Oh boy, okay. Yeah, and you got to get carrier certified. This is for Medicare Advantage. So if you want to sell Medicare Advantage, AHIP, so that AHIP, Amy, is AHIP, I'm sorry. And then you get that passed, and you take carrier certifications. They certify you to death, but they want to make sure you know what you're doing when it comes to Medicare. Hold on one second here. Play with this streaming here. I got this, like I said, I was... hopefully I can do it. Okay, let's see if this makes a difference. Trying to play with my visual effects here to see if I can get better quality, but I've screwed up my setup, so if the video flashes, sorry. Hey Gary, my wife and I take the exam tomorrow. We are planning to start with what seems to be a popular and successful IMO. My wife will be the producer, and I'm here to support her. Watch your video on IMOs. Great, perfect. Good luck. For those, and if you find out you don't like what you have been exposed to, you can always talk to me. I do recruit agents. Hey Don, for those who are all critical to you, you must be doing something right. You've worked hard and you've got a beautiful home to show for. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. No, I laugh at that stuff now. I never really curled up in a ball and cried too much. It's just people on the internet. A lot of weirdos out there, if you haven't figured out yet. What are the top legit IMOs? Duford Insurance Group, Duford Insurance Group, and Duford Insurance Group. There's a lot of them out there. Of course, I'm biased. Keep going here. Josh Jones scammer, link to buy DIY for $27, then another link for $127, another $9.99. Go figure. Okay. What do you recommend, Agent Autopilot versus a Bobby V? Either or are fine. I think that if you're price sensitive, go with Bobby's program. If you find that what Josh does to be more compelling, go with that. I think they're both good. I have my agents still go with one or the other. I've been recommending Bobby for a while. He does a good job. Same with Josh too. So whatever you feel is a good fit, that's what I'd recommend. Which CRM are you talking about? I'm in your agency, David. I must have missed the email. Well, we do have a free CRM. If you go to the training website, log in, look in the top of the menu. It's just recent, so you may have missed it. Free CRM. Just click that link, watch the video, set up a time with Julie. She'll walk you through it one-on-one. It's free. It's got all the basic kind of stuff for CRMs. There's an upgraded version for $90 if you want some automation features. So definitely check that out. I see your interview with Bobby V from Texas. Yes, watch that. I learned the hard way. Hey, Ivan. On the lead game, what would you say is a good investment to profit ratio? If I invest $3,000 in leads in a month, for example, what profitability makes sense? Yeah, so there's a first-year commission return on investment and a advance return on investment. The advance one's the most important because that's cash flow. Cash flow is king. Cash is king, but cash flow is really king. Cash flow being how fast you get your money back. Well, with most of our carriers, we're advanced 3/4 of the total first-year commission. And my metric for that is somewhere between 2.5 to 3. So if I put $4,000 down on leads within the next month, I want to return at least 2.5 to 3 times that much, okay? For the year, I want to have a goal of 4 to 1. And they may not be excited by that, but if I put 100,000 in leads and cranked out 300 in revenue and had a net income of 200,000, I think we'd all agree it's pretty good. So part of this equation, of course, Ivan and everybody else, and final expense, and this is true for Medicare too. This is a scale business. This is a game of singles and doubles. We're not trying to hit home runs or grand slams. We're just trying to write a lot of business. And the way that you make a lot of money is by writing a lot of business, which means you got to run a lot of appointments and buy a lot of leads to support it. So that's how we scale in this business. It's not like hunting the $1 million annuity. We're hunting the basic bread and butter business, but we try to scale that to as high as we can humanly do, or however our desires allow for. So that's where the money really comes in. It's to take that ROI that, maybe we run 10 appointments a week to get that ROI and scale it by 3 or 4 times. We're running 30 or 40 appointments a week and really doing really well. Thanks, Catherine. What's a good place to start purchasing? Where is a good place to start purchasing Medicare Advantage leads? If you're not with us, Emil, then I would recommend Lead Concepts or Need a Lead. I think Lead Concepts for sure. They've been in the game a long time. Need a Lead too. Direct mail is king when it comes to Medicare for sure. I mean, do I need a website when using AAP? Nah, you don't really need to. Autopilot is a scam. Josh respected in the industry. It just, he offers different options. He may have clicks on an old promo that he was running. Yeah, knowing Josh, he probably had like 1 or 2 upsells before he actually sold the product or something like that. It's not a scam as much as it is just a marketing ploy to get you to buy more stuff, Do you use a green screen? If yes, where do you get your backgrounds? Let's see here. All right, guys, you found me out. This isn't my real room. This is a green screen. See if you can my hand go through it? This is like the Joe Biden mic, right? Remember that a couple months ago? It's real. Hold on. Can your green screen do this? It's a pretty cool clock, right? I'm kind of is anybody else a dork out there? Anybody play Final Fantasy 7 back in the day? Remember that game? Remember the cyberpunk kind of theme? This is a cyberpunk camera. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. All right, let's continue. I don't know where you get the green screens from. A lot of people use that in Zoom. I don't know where you get them from, so can't help you there. I think you can just get like a big canvas picture, like a desktop picture, like what you use on your computer desktop, and just use something like that and upload it, something like that. All right, age leads worth it. Looking at more ways, yeah, absolutely, Corey. I think I've always been kind of sour to age leads, and then I had some agents use them for a long time, and I really felt like after seeing some results, I was like, hey, if you work them hard, there's some money in them. So we have some age lead programs internally in my agency through my marketing organization partner. And then also Game Time Leads sell some age leads that might be worth looking at too. They're Facebook though. Ours are direct mail. Bob, what's the best way to approach a Medicare lead? Hey, Mr. Jones, this is David Duford calling about that card you sent in the mail requesting information about Medicare. It's my job to deliver the information you requested. All I need is 5 minutes to show you how this works, and what you do with it's up to you. How about I stop by tomorrow at 10 o'clock, or does 2 work better? That's my basic appointment setting script. The way you approach a lead is you just book the appointment. And then when you get in the door, you just do your Medicare script to figure out what do they have, what do they like about it, what would they like to see better, and then show them how you can help them. Bait and switch, show me proof, and I will spend $9.99 now. He sent some videos over. If you want to email me, I can connect you, Christina, for sure. And then you can decide for yourself if it's good. But I know he's got proof for sure. Hey, Matt, got a vector hit in 2008. That's not true. Hey, Matt, yeah, I got your email. I didn't quite respond to it yet. Afterwards, sold Mutual of Omaha for 10 years, no problem. I should be able to get you some carriers. I read your email, and I know who you're talking about. What we can do is run some appointments through Moo, I think would be good. There's a few others that aren't as problematic with vectors. Just I'll reply back later with some more detail, but I think we can work it out. Hey, Catherine, I would check the other program, David. Yeah, for sure, Christina. If you don't like the Agent Autopilot, Bobby's absolutely works. I just got off the phone with a lady she's up 5,000 or 6,000 this week, and she uses Bobby's program. I've got 2 agents in my agency that write 5,000 to 10,000 in premium over the phone using Bobby's setup. It works, and if you don't like Josh's, do that one. 100% approve. That definitely works. Let's see. Hey, above and beyond carpet cleaning. Medicare, if done right, how long will your Medicare Advantage plan stay in the books? I would say your persistency is going to vary, because here's the thing about Medicare. It's like you got to protect the flock. Like you're collecting people and taking care of them. And a lot of your persistency, that's the term we use for how much will it stay on the books, how little attrition do you have, depends on how you take care of your people. And I would argue if you're following up with them multiple times a year, maybe sending them cards, checking in with them during the change up in plans, you should keep, I would say, 10 to 15%, 10 to 50%. Chat goes dead after I realize that's what it is. No, you should not lose more than 10 to 15% of your book of business if you do it that way, in my opinion. You got to serve them, though. And if you do, and you're there, and you don't just forget about them like most agents, the persistency should be a lot better. What's the best annuity carrier for a client? We pretty much just use Athene. It's a good, well-rounded carrier. We mostly use fixed index annuities. There's other ones out there that are good too, but Athene's pretty straightforward. Hey, Jay, I know you have mixed feelings on mortgage life term. No, it's a good product. It's just for how long until the market finally collapses. Do you feel the industry is saturated or still good a way for the new agent to get their foot in the door? Absolutely. Well, okay, the mortgage protection industry. The reason I don't like, when I say don't like, the product's fine, it helps people, but I have a visceral fear of any product that has a connection with the health or lack thereof of the economy. And you have to understand, I got started in 2011. I had lived through several years of watching my personal training gym fall off a cliff because personal training is a discretionary income product. And I kind of had this life experience in my mid-20s where it was, my God, I have a good business, and people are now afraid to buy because they don't know what's happening with the stock market. Are they going to keep their jobs? And I can't control for that. And that led me to final expense, which has no tie to the general health of the economy because Uncle Sam pays Social Security and disability checks no matter what. And until the country goes into civil war or collapses, I'm not worried about that changing because they've paid consistently on time since Social Security started. So I want to be in a business like that. So my point is, I look at mortgage protection, and it's just from a relative standpoint. You may be good 1 month, but if the new home sales market dries up or refis tighten up, that's where you get your leads from. And if it drops in half and the agent population stays the same, you're going to get less leads out of those people. The price points are going to go up, and there's going to be more competition. So you're at the whim of what the housing market does, which has frankly been fantastic throughout the last year and a half, longer than that too. But to me, when I got into this business, nobody was talking mortgage protection because the housing market collapsed with the whole Great Recession stuff. It wasn't until 2015, 2016 when that changed. And again, it's cyclical in nature. You're going to run hot while it's hot, and then it goes cold. I just don't want to deal with that crap. Like, I just want to run in a business that's steady, that has growing interest, that isn't as adulterated by what the economy does that's outside of my control. And final expense in the senior market is that product. So for me, getting involved in mortgage protection, yeah, it's going to be good now. Is it going to stop? Soon? Well, soon, I don't know. I don't really know. I remember calling about a year ago. I was like, get out of mortgage protection. Some of you saw that video. And I was 100% wrong. So I don't make any more predictions because I'm not good at it. However, I do know that everything has good times and there are bad times. And as soon as the bad times hit the housing market, people are not going to want to be in mortgage protection. So I choose final expense. Otherwise, it's a great business. Both models are. There's not enough agents to help the amount of people who need coverage. And life insurance coverage is at its lowest ownership. And people are retiring with less money, less financial capability, which drives the need for insurance. Not to mention Medicare. 10 to 11,000 people are retiring daily for the next 10 years. The over 65 population will increase by 50%. I think by like 25 million over the next 20 years. We're at the tail beginning of a trend upward with the baby boomers retiring. And I think serving that market, insurance or anything, is for the smart business people out there is going to be a great idea. So that's where my money's at for the next foreseeable future. Do you have a video that shows your actual final expense presentation step by step? Yeah, Mike, if you do a YouTube search and put in like David Duford sales presentation, you'll see some videos from a couple years ago. It's not exactly what I do now, but it's a good starting point. And then once you get in as my agent, then we definitely go through the whole process of how we sell, what the steps are, what we say, what not to say, etc. Can you explain, clarify your adult getting licensed and receiving your adult child getting licensed and receiving your residual income after your passing? Sort of, kind of, Tara. So if you die, usually the state will grant 60 to 180 days for your beneficiary to get licensed. They'll grant a temporary license, I believe, but you ultimately have to pass a licensing exam to, I believe, assume the overrides from production. I think that's how it works. I'm not 100% clear on that, and I probably should be. So I know there's a process where you can do that, though. If you're selling final expense over the phone, how many leads should you buy a week and at what cost? So Mark, I teach my guys to generate their own Facebook leads. And all my top producers do 100 to 150 Facebook leads a week that they self-generate. Their lead costs are going to be between $5 and $10 a lead. But the reason you buy so many is because a lot of them are just bogus. They're not going to ever pick the phone up. It's just more difficulty selling over the phone inherently. So you have to overcome the natural resistance on all parts with more leads. So the key is to buy in bulk. It's to buy in volume. And the best way to buy in bulk and volume is to generate your own leads. Otherwise, you're paying retail and have a markup and are probably paying too much to make the business that lucrative. And is that enough to keep you busy when you're first starting out, or should you also buy agents? No, you can scale up and buy all your own self-generated leads that you can. Some people opt for age leads, but it depends on the type of age lead. I don't really like working them for telesales. Hey, Nick, one of the greatest channels on YouTube. Phenomenal work. David and team. Checks in the mail. Thank you. Catherine, are we able to purchase your leads if not contract with you? No, well, no. Yes and no. I guess it depends. So like with final expense, everything but our age vendor is external. And then everything but, well, then the Medicare stuff is all internal. So if you, we do direct mail. We're about to do our direct mail internally for fresh leads, but because of some response rate issues that we're having. But with that said, if you're interested in what we're doing for direct mail, that's third party. It would be needlead.com and leadconcepts.com. The leadhq.com is also good. And then the only Facebook vendor I'll use is gametimeleads.com, really just for face-to-face sales. And then for the Facebook course, it's either Bobby's course or Josh's course, if you're going to self-generate. And that's for telesales or face-to-face. Could work either way. There you go, Corey. Yeah, Plavix for blood thinner is right. Sorry, guys. There's so many questions here, so I'm like way behind. Man. Thought I'd get out at a reasonable time tonight. I guess not. My wife is like, get off at 6. Don't go longer than that. I'm like, hey, the people need me. Priorities. Wonder if she heard that. How would you recommend starting a website to generate leads without paying for advertising? I wouldn't, Tio, unless you got a lot of money. The problem with SEO, search engine optimization, to generate organic leads is that the typical pathways of doing so have really tightened up. The competition has grown year after year after year. And if you don't have the absolute desire and laser-like focus for the next 2 to 4 years to build a website, it's not worth your time. Why is this the case? Well, it's interesting. There's been all this like fake news debacle for years now. And, depending on what side of the aisle you stand on, you may support or be against this. But there's been a culling of who can report what. Who is the authority? Who has the authority to say or dispense knowledge or information? And all of the social platforms, including Google, I believe, have a vested interest in controlling who has control of the platform, who controls the information. And I say this for no other reason than it's dipped into the life insurance business. Life insurance is a topic that can have profound impacts on the people reading the content. And I think what has happened, and this is kind of the conclusion I've come to, is that Google heavily weights the authority of a website over the quality of its content. It used to be, if you had really good content that people like to read, and it helped people, that would naturally get to the top of the list and rank in the top 1, 2, 3 search points, okay? But not any longer, at least with life insurance search terms. If you're not a Forbes or Investopedia or, Nerd Wallet with tons of views, tons of backlinks, tons of authority, there's no real hope for you ever to rank for those top coveted positions. In other words, the small guy gets knocked out. It doesn't matter if his content's way better. It don't matter. You're not in the club. You know what I mean? So to me, the only way that you can get in the club is you got to build tons of authority, tons of backlinks. It takes years to do that. It takes outstanding content too. And even when you do all that stuff, the odds are still stacked against you because somebody somewhere has got a lot of money that they'll lay out and hire a bunch of people to go do this stuff. So my advice is to stay away from the allure of self-generation of leads and stick to what is known to work, which is buying leads and running appointments. That still works pretty well if you buy enough leads and do a good enough job knowing a sales strategy. But the idea of a self-generation site that will provide you leads is kind of just gone with the wind. For face-to-face final expense, who do you like for mail order leads per piece with AEP coming up? I think I covered that. Need a lead or lead concepts, although I'm going to be making some changes. I'm going to be moving to a internal vendor at a fixed price. Because lead prices have been going up. Response rates have not been as good as they have been. All right. I'm starting my career in the insurance industry with New York Life. Do you have any advice for generating leads? Do exactly how they teach you to prospect. Find the top pros in the office. Learn from them on how they get business. Many top agents love to share how they do what they do. Sometimes they have unique systems that aren't duplicatable, but other times they do have duplicatable processes. Learn what they do and do what they do. I wouldn't necessarily do what we do in final expense or Medicare for New York Life. It's a different product line. It's a different strategy. So just be aware that I think it's a better use of your time to look at who's in your office doing very well and figure out how they get in front of prospects. Are we only allowed to sell in the state we are licensed in? Absolutely not, Tanya. Go to nipr.com. And then you can buy non-resident licenses without taking an exam. You just give the government your money. They love taking your money. And then they'll let you have the privilege of selling in their states. What's your thoughts on Family First Life? Rewind to get my thoughts, and you shall be educated. Run from OmniBay. Does not provide releases for any of its carriers. I was just with an agent that couldn't get a release and never sold anything, so there's no chargebacks. Gotcha. Good to know. Vincent, as a captive telesales agent for Medicare, what could you recommend to do in increasing the amount of closes per day? Captive doesn't make a difference necessarily. To me, the big thing is talk to more people, qualify faster, make sure you spend what time you got on the phone to figure out as quickly as possible if they're a qualified buyer or not. Don't yap it up with people unnecessarily. Rapport building's good, but there's diminishing returns on it. You need to get the business. They want you to anyway. And figure out if they're a good prospect or not. And then you need to figure out their why. Why did they request the information? Why are they talking to you? What do they want to accomplish? Listen intently to them about what they like about their policies, what they hate about their policies, or what they love about health insurance and what they hate about health insurance, and then custom tailor a solution to what the problems are and present it in a way that's going to solve the very problems that they verbally manifested to you. And if you can do that consistently and do so with passion, energy, enthusiasm, you're going to sell more. Omnibase or National Care Financial Group. If I think too much out there, the commission is 65 to 100%. Hey, Jay, what are your thoughts and opinion on Insurance Pro Shop? I've heard about them. I don't know much about them. I think they do kind of the higher-end life insurance sales, if that sounds right, Jay. I just never really deal with them much, though. I don't have good or bad to say. I just don't know. Do you have a video that shows your actual step-by-step final expense presentation? I think I addressed it earlier. Might be going backwards now. Are we able to purchase leads from you if you're not contracted to you? I think I mentioned that. Good resource on getting started with telesales. I've always done face-to-face. Sure, put into Google Crash Course Final Expense Telesales. You'll see my website. I've got a free resource guide for telesales agents. It's a little dated, but it's still pretty relevant. There's a script on there for free, a full presentation script. Lots of useful information on carriers and products and strategies. Check that out. That's a good place to go. So again, Google search Crash Course Final Expense Telesales, and then you should see my website and click that link. Yeah, Don, these are people that sell Facebook courses. Is there a good quoting tool you recommend? Sure. FexQuotes.com for strictly quotes, and then FexToolkit.com if you want quotes and underwriting. I'm going to say offers, but underwriting answers to your case study questions. Fex Toolkit runs underwriting. You input the health of the client, and they output probable acceptances with different carriers. So a lot of people like that. Use Duford 5 for a discount. Buy a website, WP Insurance, or website with a monthly fee. I would buy if you just ignore everything I said about the websites and you really just want to know about should you buy it or should you rent it, you should always buy your site. Don't rent sites. I hate that crap. Just buy it outright. I played that in Zelda. Okay, good. Now we're catching up here. What was the company that will help finance leads? Crap. I don't know. I send you guys in my spam at least once a month an offer to get financing if it's right for you. I don't remember the company. Shoot me an email, Mike. You must get my spam. And then I'll send you the link. I'll figure it out. Time Creator. If generating my own leads, mailers, Facebook, website, do carriers have to pre-approve any ads that I want to run? Not if you don't mention them. So don't mention them. There's no real reason to use their branding anyway. Amazon, there's a ton of cheap and good green screens. Yep, you can do that. Happy Hump Day. Hey, Jedi. Fairly inexpensive. I've been watching your videos since I started in the industry, and I remember when you upgraded your background. I figured you must have built that in your existing office. No, I'm too cheap. We bought this as our first home we bought, and it just happened to be here. I wouldn't have put this in. Like I said, I'm a very cheap person. But it was perfect because I do this stuff, and it makes me look fancy. Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate it. Age Lead Store has a bunch of leads near me. Would it be wise for me to purchase them and door knock? Both. Give it a shot. See what happens. I would buy all the old ones as an age of the leads, of the age birthdays. So 65 and older, the ones that are old people, I'd call and door knock those. Hi, David. I'm interested in public presentations for final expense, but haven't heard you address that in any of your videos. You haven't really? Well, partially it's because coronavirus has shut down any sort of personal communication with many people. So seminars hasn't been good. Please tell me what you think of the value. I think they're great. And in fact, what I've been encouraging really recently is getting back to doing these seminars. So I've got a course, davidduford.com/store if you want to check it out. You can also put into YouTube David Duford seminars to get some free content on it that's really useful in helping you. We target senior independent living facilities and do educational seminars instructing the residents how to prepare for final expenses. It works really well. And these facilities are all over the place, rural America, metro America, and everywhere in between. I did probably 80 to 100 of them total about 5 or 6 years ago over the course of a year and a half. My average was 1 or 2 sales per seminar. Best ones were 6 or 7. Worst ones were 0. Everything in between. But they're always productive most of the time. They're fun to do if you don't mind speaking. And by the time you sit down with a senior, they already know, like, and trust you because you're the authority figure speaking on stage. There's an assumed authority for the person who has the guts to stand up in front of a group of people. So I teach this to my agents for free if they want it. There's no cost as an agent of mine to learn it. It's part of the leads options that you have. But if you're somewhere else and you want to check the course out, DavidDuford.com/store if you want to check it out. It's very good. It works very well. Melanie, is mortgage protection the same as final expense? No. Mortgage protection is a term product predominantly sold to people kind of like middle-aged buying a house. Purpose is to cover the mortgage and replace income. Final expense is a whole life product that is predominantly sold to seniors and people disabled or retired. The purpose of that is to cover burial expenses, so beneficiaries aren't burdened with those costs. By the way, if you hear screams in the background, it's just my kids. I got 4 of them. My 3-year-old is really loud. Baby angel. Here she is right here. Let me show you guys. Face of an angel. My 4th. Ella's her name. All right. Trying to get back on track here. Mark, is your first year Medicare Sup Advantage commission paid up front or is earned? It's paid up front. Melanie, you said earlier in one of your videos Facebook leads weren't worth it. What other kinds of leads? So Facebook leads are good that you generate. I really don't like purchasing leads from Facebook vendors for final expense anymore. A lot of them are just total trash, okay? However, other good sources of leads, really it's direct mail, seminars are good. Some age leads are very good. I don't really recommend telesales because there's a lot of professional litigants that try to shake down agents and sue them for alleged DNC TCPA violations. And it's a cottage industry of ambulance chasers. So you got to be careful telesales. And a lot of these telesales vendors are based out of Pakistan or India and outside of federal jurisdiction. It's just better to avoid telesales leads because you never know if they're doing it legitimately. Unless it's stateside and you got somebody to hold you harmless or they'll take the liability. So usually that's not the case though. Hi, David. Are you planning on any upcoming conferences in the beginning of next year? Disappointed I missed that last one. Yes. We had a conference in Nashville. We featured very successful telesales, face-to-face final expense agents, Medicare, and annuity agents. It was a really good, fun event, and it reminded me of how important it is to do face-to-face training. So, with that said, one thing I will announce, so if you are thinking about joining my agency and wondering, okay, what's the differentiating factor? We are now starting in-person boot camps. You got to come to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I live. They're small groups and specifically designed to refine your sales presentation. So the purpose of the events is to help you get better at selling and presenting yourself in the presentation. They're available to my new agents or experienced agents in my agency, and there's space and room for that is not for sale. We'll also be doing a road show of sorts every other month starting in January in Orlando that we will allow people to purchase tickets to outside of the agency, where we, again, feature top producers, discuss how to have success in Medicare, final expense, annuities, feature carriers and have carrier training, and it's a day-long event where you can mingle with myself, top producers, and other agencies. So we're going to have more information on that probably next couple of weeks and start booking those events that will be running multiple times throughout 2022. Thank you for asking. Okay. So yes, join us then. Flavio, do you have any resources on your Facebook lead generation techniques, either free or paid? Yes. Bobby V, Duford, $2.50, and YouTube will get it to you. Or join my marketing mail list and I will spam you to death. on other products like the Facebook Agent Autopilot system. Is Bobby V system easy to set up for an IT idiot? That's hard to say, Mark. I mean, some people shouldn't be doing Facebook marketing because it's, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's like Mildred, like asking Mildred to electronically DocuSign a final expense app. I couldn't think of anything dumber than thinking she's going to figure it out about half the time. You'll lose sales because of it. If you're just not the IT type or tech type, I mean, the nice thing with the autopilot system is it's a 14-day trial that if you don't like it, you can get a refund in the form of leads that they generate for you. So, but yeah, there is some setup to it, and it is frustrating if you're not naturally inclined to dealing with that stuff. I wouldn't say it's impossible. It's just, it is what it is, Yeah, hey, Robert, Anthony Martin did that in 6 months. He did that in 6 months in 2016. Lots changed in 5 years, if you haven't noticed, in a lot of different ways. And certainly the market for generating leads online has gotten way tighter, way tougher. Will you be posting this for us to review? Yeah, Melanie, so this is automatically recorded and stored on YouTube, so you can go back and watch it. Hey, Joe, for final expense, Medicare Advantage and Sups, what would be a low-end, high-end weekly investment starting point? Sure, no problem. $500 a week, high-end $750. This is full-time effort. Certainly can go higher than that, but that's kind of where I would target you to begin as a new agent. Hey, Lee, I'm thinking about joining your agency. If I'm currently contracted with another agency, would you require a full release with the prior before joining? So, Lee, it depends on the amount of training and support that you need. It's a dependent thing. Just shoot me an email. We can set up a one-on-one call and talk it through, and I'll tell you honestly either way. Most of the time, I'm okay with it. But some of the times, I'm not. I got to get a feel for you, Why would I train you while you would place your business somewhere else? That's a concern any, half-awake agency is going to have, right? So we want to make sure that we're compensated for our time in helping you. But every situation is unique, so happy to chat with you about it. All right, Ishmael, and this is a good time. If you guys got some questions, I'm rounding it out here, so throw them in the chat. Just started a career with Lincoln Heritage. Would you recommend getting into Medicare? Yeah, so Ishmael, if you like working with Lincoln, I would advise you to spend all your effort in doing as well as you can with them and not doing anything other than Lincoln. Looking at Medicare for me is something that we have a 6 to 12 month horizon after you get started with final expense. In other words, I want you to be good and proficient at selling final expense before you start to make this business more complex with other products and training. It's not good to do it all at once. This business is more complicated than it appears to be. And it's harder than it appears to be, especially from looking from the outside in. So I don't want to taint the water. I want you to get good and then gradually get better by adding other carriers when you're ready. Does that make sense? Hey, Jackson, what's the blackout period? All these companies are talking about, saying it has something to do with open enrollment. Yeah, so Jackson, you can't move existing Medicare Advantage contracting from your if you got them, to, say, my agency until January 1st. So they just stopped doing releases after basically September 30th. But you can still contract with new carriers, the ones that you don't currently have that aren't releases, and start working. So we talked about that today with an agent or two of mine. Bizarre lead scenario. Had a lead claiming to be 75, turned out to be a 20-something-year-old that was in a firefighter training who had responded to the ad and was using this to get out of work. Okay. Adorable. Thanks, Melanie. Meaning Anthony Martin generated his own leads in 6 months. Yeah, for sure. I get what, yeah. And Anthony was my inspiration doing it, and he's a genius. But in more or less words, he says the same things I do. I'm going to try to get him on for some 2022 content to kind of give us the lowdown. And Anthony's a surprisingly, refreshingly straightforward and honest person. He was encouraging people for a long time that this doing this stuff online is not as hard as it looks. People are just lazy. They just won't go through it. Like, he's always said that. And then about a year ago, he's like, I just don't think most people should partake in this endeavor because it's completely different than when it was first started. And I tend to agree with him. How do I increase my life insurance case rate? I mostly do rollovers and do annuities and term, but want to do more life insurance. So you're okay. So you're sitting down with people and their money, right? And you're rolling over business. Are you in a senior market, Jay? I mean, to increase the case size, you have to increase the severity of the problem or uncover the size of the problem. So I think at first, I would be questioning, how are you selling what you are selling, the term products? Is there a way that you can ask more questions to get larger case sizes to cover more of a need? The other thing is, if you believe in permanent protection, how can you incorporate selling permanent coverage in the mix? Is there a way to get people convinced that permanent coverage is a good idea? A lot of people, if you're rolling over annuities, I'd figure you'd be talking to seniors. A lot of people want permanent protection, and they want more than just a final expense plan can offer. So you might want to look at designing a universal life plan that's designed to stay in force till age 100 or 110. You might want to look at a fully underwritten whole life plan to maximize the amount of coverage that's available. So I think kind of maybe assessing the need for permanent coverage might give you higher case sizes too. What you do is a little different than my approach. We're dealing with mostly low-income seniors, and we have some other strategies that we use to get higher case sizes. So that's just some stuff that I think of off the top of my head. Brian, how do you quote clients in home while working with carriers such as Prosperity? Where there is a 3-tier health structure and you're unsure of level. Yeah, level client will follow based. So here's the thing. Here's how you have to assess this. So what you're running into is, how do I give a good quote for my clients when I don't know their health? Well, that's your answer. Figure out their health first, and then you can confidently quote them. So in our presentation strategy that we teach, it's a 4-step stage. First step is building rapport. Second step is pre-qualifying. Third step is then showing them how our product is better and the ultimate only choice to choose. And the 4th step is closing, handling any objections if there are any, and cooling down the presentation. So it's inside of step 2 or stage 2 where we pre-qualify the client on their why, what their needs and wants are, and as well as their health. So the first stage is you got to have a list of health questions that you go through like routine each time you see a prospect in order to determine their insurability. You also need to make sure you collect information on prescriptions. Once you have this profile of the client, what we teach our agents to do is look at a cheat sheet and start to take the many options down to a few. And once you know pretty sure if it's going to be a level plan or another level plan, you can kind of roll with that and then proceed forward. And then at that point, we qualify and budget and get a commitment for that, so we know what their minimum is and we know what their maximum is. And then it's at that point that we'll do a little bit of pre-qualification a little bit later, and then we'll help the client determine which of their products is the best fit for them, and we'll make the recommendation close. To me, in other words, in short, Brian, you just need better training on probably the pre-qualifying. You should know this before you even present any of the carriers. Because if you don't know it, that's a lack of confidence, right? And won't we agree that that comes out in the presentation? Well, I don't know really which carrier here you're going to do, because you don't want to mess up for your client, but they'll perceive that as confusion or lack of confidence. And they may take that as, oh, this person, maybe they don't believe in what they're selling. And then they'll start to back away from the sale. So you've got to flesh all this stuff out ahead of time. And my recommendation is get with your upline, work through this so that you can be more confident in your recommendation, and that's going to lead to more sales. What is the Citium? Can you recommend a company to work for with a W-2 and then go on commissions so one doesn't starve? North Star Insurance Group is good for telesales, for final expense. I don't think they do a W-2 though. There's not many organizations that do W-2 and final expense. Probably a State Farm or Nationwide agent position does. But in the final expense business is mostly 1099. Hey Tia, what is a Facebook lead generation platform training you recommend? Yeah, Bobby V, Duford 250 in YouTube to search for it. I did a video, it's very good. Or the Agent Autopilot system. I actually released a video today if you want to check my channel and check that out too. What's the minimum order for internal Medicare leads? 10 a week, Morrow? 20's better, but 10's good. What's the cost and expected lead appointments close ratio? Very similar to final expense. You should be able to book half of your direct mail leads and close half. What's my favorite weightlifting movement? I like them all. I'm really like deadlifting. That's because that's the most weight I can lift. But I jacked my back up. I think I got cursed because I shared a video on Facebook. I did a triple at 405, and then like the next week, I jacked my back up real bad. And but I like squatting. I pretty much just squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, do some chin-ups, bent over rows, just the fundamentals, you know. And we do kind of a linear progression where we max out in intensity, do a deload week, and then kind of raise up the weight slightly and just progressively get stronger over time. So it's working. And anybody interested in lifting weights, young or old, absolutely recommend Mark Rebuttal's channel, Starting Strength. He's an old curmudgeon. You might not like I like him. But his training is spectacular. Basic training. Not everybody agrees with him. That's okay. But fundamentally, he's most concerned with how do I make the lay people strong. That's a great place to start. No bullshit. It's good stuff. Well, how can you prevent chargebacks? Don't oversell your client, and don't work for a captive company with one carrier. I teach my agents to sell according to the affordability that the client can manage. We have multiple carriers to offer our clients, to give our clients the best pricing available, or some of the best pricing available. And I make sure to not push my client to do anything they don't want to do. And I think that all contributes towards a better outcome for the client. So that's how you prevent chargebacks. If you sell one product that's overpriced, you're going to get replaced. If you sell a product that has some kind of gimmick that reduces coverage, if the client doesn't stop smoking inside of 12 months, you're going to get replaced. Or if you sell overpriced junk that they might incentivize you financially to sell, but it's overpriced, y'all know what I'm talking about out there, you're going to get replaced. Okay, so just serve the client. Help them get the best options available, and you'll probably be okay with chargebacks. It's when you don't do that stuff you get in trouble. Hey Hunter, I've been offered a job at New York Life, but because my current job, I'd have to fully quit my job to accept a position. With not a lot of capital behind me, I don't think it's worth the risk. You should start part-time in some other insurance. If you like insurance sales, I take agents part-time. A lot of agencies do. So you can keep your full-time gig. You're going to have to work a lot, but it allows you to get started in this business with limited capital and also have the assurance that you're still going to get paid somewhere. With that said, I mean, I started my foray into this business I had 4 credit cards maxed out. My Discover card had 4,000 line of credit that I put down for direct mail. And I owed tens of thousands of dollars on other loans and dumb shit I did. It worked out. But that's me, ain't you. Got to make that decision for yourself. So, but I started part-time too. Hey, Bianca, I homeschool during the week. Cool, we do too. All 4 of them. God bless my wife. I want to start part-time. Any tips you can give me on how to conduct leads in the community? I mean, you know, same thing we're talking about, maybe seminar marketing, purchasing leads. I would recommend, if you can, to get out of the house to sell insurance. I can tell you this, having 4 kids in the house, screaming, y'all probably hear all that crap in the background. It gets distracting when you're trying to close a deal. So I think you need your focus, and focus is critical. And getting out of the house, especially a lot of kids around, it's helpful. How often and the times I should reach out to prospects? Yeah, really any time of the day. Best time of day to do this is in the afternoon, like 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, somewhere in there. Weekends are great. Probably the morning times are good, but not as good as the evenings, in my opinion. You're welcome, Joe. All right. Anybody else have any final questions before I round it down? 6:20. All right, 20 minutes late. My wife is not going to be too upset. Wait a minute. One more question. But wait, one more thing. FFL, protect them. Who matters? I'm not with the IMO. Can you recommend a great annuity lead vendor if it exists? Yeah, it doesn't. That's a problem. That's been the spur in my side. I've really wanted to build out my annuity division in my agency, but I just can't find a lead system that's reasonably priced. With annuities, it's weird. You're either cross-selling an existing lead system that you're already getting another source of leads from, like Final Expense or Medicare, or you're spending a lot of money on seminars or a lot of money on internet-generated leads, like $300 or $400 a lead in order to sell them. And those people are in the market and probably shopping you with other people. So long story short, I don't have an answer for you. I wish I did, because there's a huge opportunity in the kind of blue-collar, lower middle class, type of prospect that has a little bit of money, but not big money. That just is not, it's just getting the shaft from the financial advisors out there that could really use our help. You can get in front of them with Medicare leads. You can get in front of them with Final Expense leads, but nobody really has the guts to drop the mail and then go in and change a conversation to annuity. It absolutely does work. But it's weird because it's not the same as those. A lot of people who need annuities don't know about how effective they are. So you've got to be willing to go in and have a conversation other than what the lead card says with that strategy, and then talk to or about annuities. And not everybody's in that situation. I'm not too concerned with cost. How about $300 lead? Man, if you put in annuity leads, there's a couple of options that'll come up in that price range into Google, and I've heard some of them are good, but yeah, I don't know exactly the names. I sure will, Amy. Insights on World Financial Group. I'm thirsty for Kool-Aid. There's better. It might work for you. I don't know. I think the commission can be better elsewhere. There's a lot of recruitment focus. I'm a big advocate of producing over recruiting. It's one man's opinion. You're welcome. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it. Yeah, just keep at it. And D, for the final question, UL or index UL for a 65-year-old? I don't know, neither. I don't think I would write a UL on a 65-year-old unless I had enough premium commitment that I could not worry about the cost of insurance going up. Again, this is more of a problem with older ULs. It used to be 30, 20 years ago, agents would write ULs like they were whole life plans because interest rates were so good, but interest rates have all but collapsed. And what's happened is all these ULs that are decades older and properly funded are having their cash values hit zero, which then causes the premiums that have never gone up to now in their 60s and 70s spiral through the roof. And there's been Wall Street articles written about it, but ULs have been a real bad product for a lot of people because the agents designed them without any sort of realism attached. And that's the nature of any kind of universal product that's a flexible premium. It could go up. And there are factors that are outside of your control as an agent. I'm more of the type, and again, I haven't done this, it's not my market, but I'm more inclined to sell the benefits and guarantees a whole life plan can provide over the uncertainties of a UL. Now, if you can do a guaranteed universal life, I'm okay with that, but a lot of those products have been pulled because interest rates are low and, frankly, they're too good. So I'm not a fan of a variable product for a senior. It just depends on what their needs are, but most people who are buying insurance at that age need guarantees, not hopes. Great, sounds good. Hey, Jem, what mutual life insurance company would suggest? We can get you going with Mutual Trust and then Lafayette Life. Both of those are mutuals, I think. Shoot me an email. I'll get you contract link. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much. If you want to check out how working with Dave Duford works, davidduford.com, FAQ. Click the link, the FAQ link above. Please hit the like button if you haven't already tell the world that you appreciate this content so that other people can learn about it and get the real deal when it comes to insurance sales training. And subscribe if you haven't. And guys, thanks so much for watching. I couldn't be here without your support and well wishes. I appreciate you.